What's up? What's up? We in there. We're back again. Another episode of Mental Health. I am Brother Hiawatha, aka Bishop H. And as always, my co-host, Mr. Jims himself. What's going on, brother? How you doing today?
Pretty good, bro. How you doing, man?
Good, good. Just trying to recap, man. It's been a little minute, but we back on it. Want to touch on a topic today that most people may not even think about.
Mm-hmm.
That topic is really about lies and truth and how it affects mental health. What is the truth about lies and mental health? I want to touch on that topic today because there's a lot of clinical testings that have
Mm-hmm.
been done, for people who want their clinical evaluations of things. But the Bible also has a lot to say about lies, truth, how we live, those types of things. So, without further ado, man, I just want to go ahead and jump into it because there's a lot to unpack in a short period of time.
Yeah, let's get it.
So I looked at some studies from Psychology Today, and they had some studies on. They took some statistics on people that actually, on a regular basis, admitted that they told lies. And one of the statistics that was interesting to me is said that 60% of people actually tell at least one lie during a 10-minute conversation.
Wow, 60%, bro.
60%.
Ooh.
So I thought that that was interesting. But for the clinical side of things, when people actually tell lies, they actually have a stress level that goes up.
Mm.
They've distributed sweaty palms. They've just distributed anxiety. These are all things that obviously affect mental health. And that's not just like I told a lie. It's also if we're living a lie. So in other words, it's like we know what the truth is, but I'm just gonna keep doing this over here. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
so kind of want to jump into that. But on the flip side of that, the truth, going back into clinical studies,
Mm-hmm.
72 adults they took, average age about 41.
Right.
And what they did was they said, we want you to be as truthful as possible. And they gave them a polygraph for 5 straight weeks,
Uh-huh.
once a week. And what they found in that study is that not were they only mentally stronger, had more energy to do their day, they also exhibited less colds, sore throats, headaches, nausea. They had a whole list of things that they did not have for the group that was in there that told the truth
Mm.
on a regular basis. So, anyway, I'm gonna stop right there. I'm gonna let you jump in. What
Nah,
are your thoughts about that information? Because I just gave you a lot in a short period of time from the clinical side. We'll get to the biblical side in a second.
they say a lot of times it's you the spiritual and science and all these kind of little things and how God designed us. And that kind of like what went off in my mind, like when you was talking, like how detectives they read body language. Like if you in there, you in there with a homicide case or something like that,
Right.
they reading your body language. They reading like how you say things, or if you look off to the left, or all these little things, that they could tell, okay,
Right.
yeah, it's
Right.
something up with this dude. You know what I mean? So it's like the lie is actually got to go through the brain first. Almost, it's like you got to process it as you're saying
100%.
it until you get
100%.
real good at it, right?
So let's unpack the lie and what it actually does to our mental state. So let me throw a few things out in the air. Let's just say, so typically when a person tells a lie, a falsehood, they're being deceptive.
Mm-hmm.
You automatically are on a higher stress level, a higher anxiety level, and people say, "Well, why is that?" It's because we have a reputation that says I can't be found out.
Yeah, yeah,
So what do
yeah.
we so now once you tell the lie, now you have to kind of keep going down that road to support the lie because we're trying to do what? We're trying to protect our reputation. And I'll give you a couple of examples. So let's just take a person who's in a relationship with their significant other,
Mm-hmm.
and they start telling lies to that significant other, like, "Oh yeah, I ain't talked to that girl, I ain't text her, I ain't do this, I ain't do that." And it's just like, because you're not standing on truth, you have to continue to build a story that solidifies that lie, but also you think it's protecting your reputation because you don't want to be deemed as a liar,
Right.
as a
Yeah.
fraud.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so what does that do to our mental state? Allah.
It do two things. It gets you to go deeper into the slippery slope, or it brings you to the light. You know what, I love this verse in John 3. It says, I don't know if you got that verse already.
Mm-mm.
Okay. In John 3, it says, uh everyone who does evil hates the light. This John 3:20, and will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed. But whoever lives by the truth comes into the light, so that it may be plainly seen that what they have done has been done in the sight of God. So when you think about what you just said, it's like you know the relationship aspect of it. The relationship aspect of it is I can lie more, or now I could say the truth, and like what if you leave me, you leave me. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? I'm gonna live in that truth, right? But a lot of times out of fear, we just tell the lie, like, oh man, I don't even want to lose, something good, blah, blah, blah. Right.
Oh yeah.
You just run with that lie. And I think that's the yin yang, good, evil type vibe, you know what I'm saying, that we actually experience in life all the time.
For sure. Let's slide to the other side of the table of lies.
Mm-hmm.
So in a society that is heavily let's just put social media is real big, right?
Mm-hmm.
So people will put on a facade. I want to portray myself as having something that I'm really not.
Right.
I want to portray that I got it going on. I got my bills, I got my watch, I got my bling, I'm really shining, everything is great. And we want to put on this show, this
Yeah.
facade, because we want people to see us in a different light. That's another lie too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, what does that do to our mental state to try to have to continue to do that week in, day in, hour in and out of trying to put up like I'm this, and like, man, I want them to think that I got it going on. So I'm gonna get the car that I can't afford. I'm gonna get the house that the payment's high. I'm gonna do all these things to look like I got it going on. But the reality is, I'm really over here struggling. I'm stressed out because I ain't got no money. I'm stressed out because this bill is due, and I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul. All that stuff is going to take a toll on your mental health when you're talking about living out a falsehood, a lie, trying to do what? Impress a bunch of people.
You know what's funny? I want to really say right now is what is makeup?
It's made up.
Right.
We're touching
and let's not even just talk about women and makeup. Not that. What is makeup though? Just what is makeup?
Like almost like I made it up.
Yeah, right.
I conjured it up. I made up believe. I touched it up. Let me just touch it up a little bit. I'm gonna give you a little bit of truth, but then I'm gonna sprinkle some of this other stuff in over here.
A lot of times
just to kind of like let me get a little fluff on it.
Right. A lot of times when we think of makeup, we just think of the woman putting lipstick on or whatever, But if you go to a circus, a clown puts on what?
Makeup.
When you go in Hollywood, what do actors put on?
They put makeup on you.
When you go to a podcast, what do they put on?
I don't put no makeup on. No. No, but I know, I get what you're saying. Like, people are putting out the narrative that they want to be believed.
That's right.
And that's necessarily what's 100% accurate or real.
That's
you know what I mean? So when you sometimes see people on their podcast or they're talking, you have to ask yourself, is that the real them?
Because the thing about makeup, or you got to making things up, it's almost like identical to the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
He make up a bunch of lies, and I always say, I like this saying. I don't know where I got it from. I think the Holy Spirit gave it to me, unless somebody has said, you got to do a little good in order to do a lot of evil.
Mm-hmm.
You got to show a little, of what people want to see, so you can really get your agenda on the back end.
100%.
And I think that's most of us. When you go to an interview, how you look?
Well, I got this many degrees, and instead of you saying I worked at this location for 2 years,
I was a janitor, but I really want to be an engineer.
I was a head custodian over this division, at this company. And the reality is,
But this makes us crazy.
mhm,
This leads into insanity, you know, because interviews, you want them the first impression. You know, they say first impressions. I'm big on 100 impressions. The
mhm,
reason I say that because I never try to judge nobody on a first impression. That's dumb,
right,
you know. But it's a saying. It's a good saying, right? The first impression. But I think you get to see people consistently over time.
100%.
You don't see, you know. Think
I
about
would,
relationships.
yeah. What if you catch somebody on a bad day?
Right?
You catch them on a bad day, and now you like, you don't already place judgment.
That's right.
Ooh, good thing God don't work like that.
I know, and that's why I'm liking this conversation because it the beginning of what we present leads us into that slippery slope that you're talking about. It
Hmm.
leads us into that place of like, am I going to be a liar? It leads us into the place of cover up, makeup, you know, all these different things because I got to keep presenting things a certain way.
I'm
Bro,
always looking over my shoulder. I'm always worrying about who's talking. I got to keep this up. It's a lot of energy to continue falsehood.
that's
But I
right.
like something you said because you were talking about the enemy, and that's how the enemy kind of worked from the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Eve,
Mm-hmm.
he gave her a little bit of truth,
Right.
and then he added in some extra stuff.
Of course.
You see what I'm
Right.
saying? You won't surely die.
Mm-hmm.
You won't surely die if you eat from this tree.
Right.
You will just get
Gotta know your eyes will be open and you'll be knowing what he know.
100%.
It's almost identical to someone who works that wants the CEO job. And it's the
Yeah.
person in the middle, like, look, all you have to do is go start your own company, ba 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 ba, right? When in fact, in actuality, you might not even be built to be a CEO. It's just so funny how these little things work, you know what I'm saying? I think that we got to be careful.
No, it's just funny because I always sit around and I think of some of the stories that were told, especially like amongst guys, because we be real big on sports or what people used to do. And
Mhm.
there's a term that they started using talking about I got receipts. That's kind of
Yeah,
like I
yeah, I
got
kept
proof.
receipts.
I got
Yeah,
receipts, right?
yeah,
So dude would be like, oh yeah, man, back in my day, back in 99 when I was in high school, you know what I'm saying? I rushed for 300 yards.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Boy, what that video?
Man, boy, I rushed for 300
They
yards.
lost the paper.
Man,
They
they,
lost
you know what I'm
all the
saying?
records.
And then you find out that dude rushed for 125. You talking about he rushed for 300.
No, he
It's
works for
just like,
12.5.
it's like, but why do we even do these things?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's almost
Because
like an older cat trying to tell a younger cat what he used to
yeah,
be.
it's like the authentic us is not enough.
And it should be.
And it should be.
Yeah.
It's like we have to add on, do these things to try to impress people. And it's like, what mental state did that put us in? So when we go
Mhm.
back at the end of the day and you're looking at the man or woman in the mirror, you're like, man, I ain't even, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't even 100 on what I really did and said today.
Let's go here. You know what I really love about God? So repent means changing your mind, not changing who you are.
100.
You got that part?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I love about him? He ain't come to anybody and ever say like, "Hey, you know what? Stop being that person you've been for 40 years."
Go ahead, finish your
Yeah,
thought.
right. Stop
Yeah.
being that person you've been for 40 years, and start to pretend like you are well put together to go up in this building, right? To sing these songs to me. Oh, bro, you ain't hearing what I'm saying, right? Stop being who you authentically being, right? Become this. You know how it says we become a new creature, right?
Hmm.
That means your mind starts to change, like once you seek him, right?
Hmm.
But the authenticity of how you've been built for the last 30, 40, 50 years or whatever, that's not what changes,
Right.
right? You think your language is supposed to change overnight,
Nah, ain't
right?
gonna
The way you
happen.
dress, the way you whatever, all these little things, right?
It's a process.
It's a process. And watch this, God might not even want you in that process.
Right.
Because he be like, hey man, come on. He told Isaiah, man, walk around naked for 3 years, right?
Isaiah's like, nah, that's a lie. No, I'm just playing.
I just love that God don't come in and try to do what man do to us.
Right.
Like man says, for the interview, you must wear this,
100%.
right? For this job, you must do this. You must, when in reality, you're actually hiring me for my authenticity.
Hmm.
That's why you're hiring me. That's the truth.
So, with that being said, why would we ever, and tell me if anyone's ever heard this term, fake it till you make it?
Man, come on, man.
Man, that has caused more destruction in a person's mindset to feel like that they're not adequate enough to stand on their truth. And I remember, I think it was a Bible study that you did a while back, and you were talking about when you were single, doing the online dating, how you used to just tell all your real stuff,
Oh, off
and
rip.
because you would tell your real stuff, people be like, "Oh, he hunted with it. He said he ain't got a job right now. He on a bicycle, blah 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 blah, all these different things." And girls will still be like, "Yeah, that's my guy. That's that man. I can get on that." But there's a sense of what people don't understand from a mental health standpoint. There's a sense of peace that comes with telling the truth. You don't have to look over you don't have to ever look over your shoulder.
Hmm.
You know that, like, hey, I said the right thing. I stood on the truth. This what it is. I don't have to worry about being stressed because I deceived someone, because I lied, because I put a couple extra things on my resume, because I said I had 4 cars and I got one junker car.
Yeah.
Like all these things that we do
Yeah.
to try to impress or to elevate ourselves.
Hmm.
And it's just like we've become such a competitive society that has led us down a road of lies and falsehoods to try to deem ourselves to be valuable enough to be presented to the rest of the world. And
That,
that is very
yeah.
dangerous to the
Yeah.
mindset.
It is because you'll never, most people struggle with identity.
Mm-hmm.
Identity is like and I like how people say you find your identity in Christ.
Mm-hmm.
I agree, partially, because the thing about it is like your true identity is what you were born with,
Mm-hmm.
right? God reveal it, you know what I'm saying, if you allow it.
Right.
But even most people, they struggle with identity. So when you struggle with identity, guess what you're gonna do? If you struggle with it, you'd be like, man, the guy in the neighborhood who had the money, or you know what I'm saying,
A couple excuses here, a couple excuses
right?
there, why I didn't do this.
Yeah, and so identity. So for children, right? If you have children, why is it so important that you give them identity as a child, especially if you know by being a believer or something? The
Mm-hmm.
most important. So most people allow their children just be raised, however this system says, right?
Right.
Without the knowledge of who you actually are in God. Like if my daughter or my son is an actual prophet or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
I need to be very aware, or a pastor or whatever, a teacher. I need to be very aware to wean them in that direction.
So what you're saying is it's not good to just be like, hey, you're gonna be a doctor, you're gonna be a lawyer, you're gonna be a this, you're gonna be a that. Don't we do that in 5%?
Yeah,
Don't we predestine to
yeah,
our kids in a lot of
right,
cases, like, I need you, you're going to be a this.
right.
And it's just like,
Hmm.
how do you know?
Yeah.
Because what do you ultimately do to that person?
Hmm.
You may say, I want you to be a lawyer, I want you to be a doctor, I want you to be a this. And that individual may have a different gift that God's given them. And so now they take on what the parents want, and that's a lie.
Yep. Yep.
So there's a lot of levels to what this does to it. It's not just like, oh, I told a lie. It's I'm living a lie. It's
Hmm.
I'm backing up a lie. It's I'm putting on a facade. There's so many elements of the lie and how it will affect your mental health. Because if you're thrust, if you just said, oh well, my parents just said I got to go to medical school, so this is what I'm supposed to do. And then you get to medical school, and you're like, I hate all this.
Hmm. Now who you are?
I
I
hate
mean, who are
I
you?
hate everything about medical school. Yeah, I know I'm a 4.0 student. I know I graduated from high school, valedictorian, all the different types of stuff, but I hate everything about this.
A lot of times, when people play professional sports, you actually know about this a lot.
Mhm.
Once their career is over in sports, what usually happens, bro?
You have the majority of guys who go through identity crisis, depression,
Hmm.
level of anxiety. Let me tell you and this is why I knew God had to kind of get me out of that realm, or not
Hmm.
let me get too deep into that realm for too
Hmm.
long, because a lot of us, when we are gifted in whatever that means, sports, we're just a nation that happens to be sports crazy. We start to I build our identity in that.
That's right.
So when we say, "Oh, I am this," one thing that one of the best things that my dad ever did was like, don't ever allow what you actually do to define who you are.
Mm-hmm.
Because the problem with that is when you've been elevated, or hey, you've done this, you've gone to college, you played pro, you did whatever, you've gotten a lot of praise. You've gotten a lot of praise. So you think that's who you are.
That's right.
I am this. So now when that ends, this is why you can't allow yourself to put your identity in something, because once that goes by the wayside, once that changes, now you've lost your identity. Like, what am I supposed to do?
That's right.
Even if you left professional sports making millions, or maybe you left for $5, you still don't have the rah behind your name and the lights on the back of your jersey, or people want to be extra nice and all these different things that they do
Mm-hmm.
to these athletes, entertainers, singers. You can name them across the board. Fame is a very dangerous thing
Yep.
to the ego and the mind. It is a very dangerous thing, fame of any type, because you're putting yourself in a situation where, one, you got people that are elevating you, and then you start to believe something that's probably not accurate. We know very quickly, if you don't give the people what they want,
Yep.
they will turn on you.
Of course. That's why the heart of what you said at the very beginning of this, being truthful, authentic, like how you're really designed and how God built you, is key. Because once you are secure in that, you can go in any. I love the stories we have in the Bible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like stories of Daniel, right? Daniel didn't try to maneuver like the wizards and witches and the deceivers that he had in there. He didn't try to maneuver. But if he cared about fame and all these kind of things, it would have got in here.
Yeah.
So when you care about certain things that God don't want you caring about, because even remember when he went and told the guy about the writing on the wall, the guy tried to clothe him. He said, no, I don't need nothing.
Right.
I don't want nothing from you. I just came here to tell you a truth. Tonight is over for you in this kingdom. See, when you're authentic like that, you could just speak truths and walk off.
Yep.
When you're trying to maneuver, you're trying to actually find ways to get in people's psyche through acting, being a professional, whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like wrestling, for instance. Like wrestling is a made-up sport, but wrestling is a psychological thing. It's like 1 minute they could be like, I remember back in the day, The Rock. Rocky sucks, right? And then on the flip side, a month or two later, he's the people's champ.
Right.
When you think of like what he has to be now, it's like 1 minute he could be a heel, next minute heel is the bad guy, and the next minute he's the people's champ. So imagine what that probably has done to his true psyche over the years.
Right.
If you have to act a character for 30 years or so, what is real? Because no one is strong enough to say I can control how I think and feel all the time.
Right.
But when you're inauthentic, I'm not saying he is, I'm just saying in general,
as an example,
who are you at the end of your life, or at the end of this road?
Who are you at the core?
Yeah.
Who are you at the core? Because there's a lot of people, like you said, people that retire, people that get out of the field, people that lose what they thought was them. That takes a toll in terms of depression, anxiety, all these different things, because they're not being authentic. They're still playing a role. They're playing a role, but it's just like people are in love with that image. People are boosting you in that image. So what does it perpetuate people to do? I need to keep pushing that because that's what people like. And it's just like in your mind, you're telling yourself, they might not even like the real me.
You know, what stuck out to me just now? How at the very end, the devil still be in character. Like all the way up into his destruction.
Right.
And and anybody following him will still be in character. All the way to the end, all the way to the destruction. That's how dangerous this thing is. This dude for thousands of years has been in character in a sense. And at the very end, he will still be in character.
Think about this. Let me pose a question. What happens when the lie serves our comforts and our narratives? So there's a very distinct difference between like I'm living this way and I'm unaware that this is a lie
Mm-hmm.
versus I have found out the truth, but I'm going to roll over here with the lie because it's a little bit more comfortable. I got something to gain if I do that, maybe some money, maybe some this, maybe some that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just going to shy away from the truth because my comfort in this kind of serves the narrative that I want.
Right.
But the problem that people are going to have with the mental aspect of it is there's never any true peace in it.
Never.
There's never going to be any truth peace in it
Mm.
because you're always going to have that battle with the flesh, like, oh, I could just do one more thing. You're always going to have to justify your move. The thing about truth is there's no justification needed because it's valid. It's true.
That's right.
The truth stands on its own. It doesn't need justification.
Hmm.
The truth doesn't mind being questioned. You hear what I'm saying?
Man, I had a conversation about that yesterday.
The truth doesn't mind being questioned.
I said, I was asking a brother. I'm not gonna say who he is, but I was asking a brother because we was talking, and it was like, why don't believers or the leaders, right, religious leaders, like to have true sit downs about the word, right? Like,
They don't want that town hall meeting. Most of them.
why don't you want to have that town hall meeting? And I said, bro, this is what separates true men of God,
Mhm.
because we look for those meetings. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
you got to be 100% okay with that meeting.
Oh yeah.
But if I have a flock, right, and I got a massive flock, for instance, right, and if I allow this guy to come in, see, there's a way to do everything. I'm gonna show you what I mean. If I allow this guy to come in and say something that is against what I teach, for instance, and it's truth,
Mm-hmm.
what does that do for me, my ego? You know, me, my ego, my
Right.
ego.
I got you. I got you.
What does that do for me now if I don't allow new truth to come in? Let me show you why I say this. So Jesus come on the scene, right? The religious leaders, they teach something, but you notice they would never have a sit down
One-on-one
powwow with them. They wouldn't have that.
They wouldn't have
So
a town hall
Nicodemus even came on the slide,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I said, I actually welcome those things.
Right.
I want to have those meetings. Anybody who truly know me, I look forward to it. So just say if you say, for instance, I teach something false, right? I say, okay, let's sit down and go through the actual word.
100%.
Let's see what it actually say. But if someone, if you per se is the leader or leader of something, right? And I come to you, I'm like, man, I believe what you're teaching is false.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, let's sit down and talk about it then. It depends on who you are, right?
Yep.
It depends on if I'm authentically looking for truth or if I'm actually okay with what I believe right now.
Are you seeking truth and understanding? And a lot of these leaders, they will avoid those conversations.
Why?
Because they've changed the church into spiffs and gifts. I call it spiffs and gifts. We don't want to stop that money train. We don't want to stop this book sale that I'm about to put out, this book that I just wrote. We don't want to do all these things because it's like, well, I got an image to protect.
Right.
As opposed to, I got a truth to uphold in Jesus Christ.
Let me. So as this conversation was happening, I thought about something, right? I said, because what God did for me back in the day, I wouldn't get up in a church and just be all willy-nilly wilding on nobody. I would ask pastors one-on-one. I was like, hey man, you got about 30 minutes. I just want to share with you what God has revealed to me. Right? What's wrong with that?
Nothing.
Not one thing is wrong with that. So most of the times, what you think the response was?
Nah, well, I ain't really got the time. I got a busy schedule. I got a this and that, and
so
excuses.
I remember Pastor Soto. Shout out to you, Pastor Soto, if you ever watched this. I sat down with this pastor, and he said, he invited me to his home. So I went over there. I had a little board. He had a board up, and I sat down. I showed him. Probably like 30. We went through like 45 minutes, right? He was like, so what does God want you to do with this? I
Mm-hmm.
said, this is my Noah's Ark.
Mm.
And you know what he told me? He said, all right, I want you to come to my church every Wednesday and teach this.
Mm.
Right? Only person ever did it. I remember talking to another guy. And I knew this as I'm talking to the guy and I'm sitting in there in his office and I'm talking to him. I'm knowing as I'm talking to him, he don't care about truth.
Right.
I can tell as he not opening his Bible. He's just listening. He not having dialogue. You kind of get what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
He's just listening. So I said, okay, I learned a lot in this process.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't that who we supposed to be a believer, bro? Like we supposed to live in truth, right?
100%.
So if God is constantly revealing something and someone said, hey, I'm just coming here to share, not I ain't coming here to say you are false and what you're doing, because I don't know if you're false in your heart.
Right.
You might just only know it a portion of something, right?
Yep.
But you know, when I know you're inauthentic, the part when we sit down and have these conversations, I know you're inauthentic then.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I start to be able to label whether this is a fruit bearer or you know, somebody who bear fruit, or you know,
Somebody just want to be on their own agenda.
yeah, you know what I mean. I noticed that, and I'm like, bro, we are the ones that's supposed to be open to these things.
I've been preaching and teaching for 20 years.
Come on,
You
now.
can't tell me nothing new. That type of attitude, that ego,
Right?
that pride, that this is how it's always been. And this is what hurts us so much too, just in our in our in our world today, because we have so many traditions.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many traditions out there. And even if we find out new information, there's a lot of things that we are not willing to let go.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
There's things we're not willing to let go.
Mm-hmm.
And what people don't understand about how this is going to affect the mental health side of things is because when you actively know that you're holding on to a falsehood, a lie, a truth, it is going to internally and mentally affect you because you're not being real.
That's right.
And what do people gravitate towards? Realness.
That's right.
Even if your realness is junky.
That's right.
Because now I can at least appreciate that that person is being real. They put it on the table. And guess what? I understand that person because I see some of me in them. They didn't give me this fake facade that, oh, everything is sweet. I do this, I do that. I got the nice car, the family, everything is sweet, blah, blah, blah. All these different things that we do to try to uphold the facade because there's peace and truth.
Let's do this. Because I like what you said. I want to add, not take away anything you say. I want to add, because some people would just be so raw and true, but they don't want change. So you can just be like, you know, I'm gonna do this forever. I'm gonna just have as many women as I want forever. I'm gonna just make as much money as I want. That's who I am, right? Then you get into pride and ego,
right?
So it's like, yeah, you could be a truthful, ignorant person, or it can be a truthful, repentant person.
Correct.
Like, I think that needs to be put out there too, because you can be in your truth and ignorant.
100%.
Ignorant minded, you know, them are the worst people in the world. Like, I don't like to hang around ignorant minded people.
Right. I don't care. This is just who I am. This is how I'm rocking. Just blah, blah, blah. And they say they don't even take in any other nothing because this is just who I am.
Come on now.
Despite what's going on in the rest of the world, I'm just gonna be me. You ever heard that? Yeah. I'm just gonna be me.
That's right.
If you can't take me, then you need to go because this the real. You know what I mean? It's just like, okay, that might be a true statement. That might be a true statement, but like you said, it's in ignorance.
It's in ignorance. That's right.
And so it's like, how does that affect you?
I'd rather somebody be so true and say, like, this is what I'm dealing with. This is my junk. I put it out here and I want help.
Right.
Rather than somebody said, man, this is who I am, man. I don't even know what to do with it, blah, blah, blah. This is how it is, and this is what it's going to be. Like, it's like, how can you navigate that? How is that going to, how can I help this person in a sense?
Right.
If I know you're ignorant minded. See, there's a difference between so let's go through ignorant mindedness real quick. Ignorant minded is you met me like this, I'm gonna stay like this. Ain't that ignorant? It's like, so we don't evolve, we don't change, we don't grow, we don't
right.
Like, that ain't what we on.
But even so, even so, is that a truth?
Mm-hmm.
Are we supposed to not evolve, change, grow? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's like we don't stay the same
Most definitely.
per se.
Right.
We're either growing in truth
Yep.
or in our calling,
Mm-hmm.
or we're growing in the other direction, which
Mm-hmm.
is not true.
That's right.
But
100%.
there's something that is transpiring.
Always.
So it's just like something is happening regardless.
It's almost seed planting and seed and reaping, right? It's like I'm gonna be always in a position of to reap a harvest. Like if that's my mindset, I want to be truthful and repentant. Because why would God bless someone? Bless. Think about it. Everybody get the breath of life. But why would he bless somebody who ignorant?
Right.
You know, like think about what I'm saying when I say this. There are methods out here and strategies, even for ignorant people who don't care to be successful in this world. But there's very few methods that you can use to be successful in the kingdom other than truth, repentance, letting God transformation, regeneration of the heart. There's no other way to be successful in his kingdom.
Right.
But out here, I can use a strategy and be ignorant and be successful. Right. So who do we reward in society when it comes to like Hollywood, comedians, who do we reward? The most ignorant ones, right? Or the ones who can bring us into a certain place in life and that to a certain emotion.
Well, I always say if you tell a half truth, that person will inherit the whole lie.
Mm.
If you tell a half of a truth,
Mm-hmm.
that person will inherit the whole lie.
Mm-hmm.
Because the thing about truth is it has to be authentic all the way through. Otherwise, it's not true.
That's how
Right?
God is.
It's got to be all the way through pure.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not, it can't be considered truth. And that's why the enemy is so dangerous.
Yeah.
Because he'll give you a little bit of this,
Mm-hmm.
and then what he'll do, would you say makeup? But I want to read Psalms 34:13. It says, keep your tongue from evil and your lips from telling lies.
Keep your tongue from evil and your lips from telling lies.
And then John 8:32, then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So the reason why I bring, and there's many, many, many more. The reason why I bring those up is because God gave us a playbook.
Mm-hmm.
He told us what we should and shouldn't be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no wonder, even clinically speaking, that the people that told lies on a consistent basis, what did I say earlier?
Right.
60% of people in a 10-minute conversation tell one lie.
Come on now.
And why?
Yeah.
There'd be stuff that people be lying about that you ever have somebody tell a lie? You're like, why you even lie about that? You see what I'm saying? Because we're trying to spruce something up.
And you know what I do a lot of times? I'm gonna be real with you, bro. I like to just know that somebody lying. Like if somebody say they rock with God,
Right.
and I see that they're a little deceptive, I don't even let them know I know they lying.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I pay attention to stories, things people say. If you say one thing over here and then over here you say another thing, I just keep paying attention. Then I can categorize you. The Bible is clear about categorizing things, right? The reason, God has said over here this, said over there that. Jesus would say, hey, I need y'all 3 to come with me. Y'all 9 stay over here.
Right.
Like all these kind of things is how the Bible actually is. So when we think about what I'm saying is like, I can categorize you as a doubting, lying, whatever.
Right.
Right. And then I could keep you in the right place. You can never disappoint me. I already know what I'm dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Like I might not ever tell you because the job is for the Holy Spirit to convict you if you're a believer. Right. So as I continue to be honest, right, if we continue to be honest, you're going to eventually probably need to get to a place where you saying, I got to be real.
Right.
I've had people working with me, right? And because they have so much pride, and my wife know what I'm talking about. I used to tell her about little things like this. I couldn't even tell them. So because they have so much pride, right? It could be like they miss spots on the yard.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be like, hey man, and they would have been up, put the equipment up, right? They'd be like, hey man, you missed a few spots. Oh yeah, I'm about to just do that.
And you're like, bro, your equipment's put up. What you mean you about to do it?
I don't even say that. You get what I just did
Mm-hmm.
though? It's something simple though, right? It's like, hey, you missing spots. You know what I'm saying over here? You missed a few spots. Oh, I was just about to do that. Or I'll pay attention if I say something and somebody like, oh, I was just about to say that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Really? You're really about to say that? You're really
You,
about to?
you getting what I'm
You're really
saying?
about to
Like,
go fix that part of the yard?
yeah, you was really about to do this. So I don't say nothing, but I categorize you now.
It's
I have to, because that's being discerning. Don't judge you, right? I can't judge you, criticize you, condemn you, but I have to categorize you now. Because the reality is, if you'll do something on this level that's small about some grass on a yard, I can just imagine if I let you deeper into
in
my
a
place,
bigger scale.
like what it will, what would you'll actually bring in, like in your mentality. If I let you around my children, all these little things start to matter now. I can get to categorize y'all. Say, yeah, I'm careful of that person because they be tripping, they be lying, you know what I'm saying, about grass. If you lie to me about grass, or I didn't have that tool, or I ain't have this, oh yeah, we good. I got you. Yeah, we
Yeah.
straight.
I would say that lies are the truest form of manipulation. Lies are the truest form of manipulation because that's what you're really doing. You're manipulating people to think something different.
Right. Yeah.
And so, how can that internally feel good mentally? So, closing this thing down, man. I mean, it's pretty cut and dry. If
Right.
you had some conviction watching this, it's just like we really got to hone in on how we're operating because the truest form, I mean, lies is just a manipulation and it's going to hurt you physically, it's going to hurt you mentally. Because what tends to happen
Mhm.
is you can continue to live a lie, tell lies, do all these different things, but at some point in time,
Yeah.
you're going to have to face the truth. And ooh, that truth is going to be strong and it's going to be up on you. And because you haven't been okay accepting
Mhm.
what is true, it is going to be hard to take that down the road.
It's so true. Another thing, I love Be Strong, Courageous, and like a lot of things that we've done right over the course of time. A lot of people know. I have conversations all the time with people. They be like, I'm careful with my words now.
Oh yeah.
You remember, like, I made that very big. If you tell me something and don't do it,
Yep.
you know what I'm saying? I put you in the category. Because if you be upfront with people like that from the beginning, like, look, I got to put you in the category, you might not ever hear from me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll give me your word and break it. The reason I say it like that is because there's things that you gotta always consider. In Am I truthful with God?
Right.
Right? Am I truthful with God? Like, God knows the innermost deep parts of us, right? So if I'm struggling,
Mm-hmm.
right, the first thing I shouldn't do is go out and start to tell everybody.
Oh
Right?
no.
The first thing I should do is go to God because I'm struggling, I'm serious, I want to overcome this, whatever the case may be, right? That's my desire.
Mm-hmm.
If I go to people with my struggle, right, and say, and I know I'm struggling inside, right? And I tell them one thing, but my struggle won't let me do it. You see what I just did now?
Mm-hmm.
My struggle won't let me do it, even though I intended in the beginning. What am I now? A liar. But if I allow God to give me victory in an area, so if I just say, hey, yeah, I won't smoke no more, right? But internally, I struggle with smoking.
Mm-hmm.
I lied, right?
Right.
Because eventually, what's going to come out?
Truth.
Right. You're going to catch me behind a building, right?
Cheaping out.
Chiefing, right?
Like, hey man, I thought you said.
Right. But if I have victory over smoking, I can easily come to you like, yeah, man, I ain't smoked in 10, 15 years. You see how that works?
There it is.
So I wanted to give that to us too. I wanted us to have that portion of like, why? So if you're struggling and you're not an honest person yet, go to God, who is the person who will help you through that stage to be where you can become honest. Because my former life, right? I'm a deceiver, manipulator, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. We probably all got these stories, right?
Right.
And but when you come into knowing him, you don't want to be that no more.
Right.
So you don't want to just say, I had a song. I had a song my wife laughed at in the song, just keeping it transparent. This is like 10, 15 years, 10, 13 years ago. I made this song, right? And at the time, like I was so gung-ho for God. It was like, I don't do something, I don't have sex. I'm waiting for my wife, she deserved the best.
Right.
Right. So years later, you know, at that time, that's where I was, right?
Right.
Years later, my wife laughed at it. She like, you what? You don't have sex, you wait for your wife, you like blah blah blah, right? And I had to laugh because in reality, that's where I was in that space, right?
Yep.
But as time go on, I had a struggle there. I didn't have victory over it.
Right.
You get what I'm saying now?
Right.
So she was able to say, what? You know what I'm saying? And I think that is so awesome. You know what I'm saying? Like for you to have victory, the person can see you have victory today. And they can say, man, at that time, yeah, you probably wasn't doing that, but it was still in your heart.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Like it was still in your heart to do because boy, I know you.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And I love that got how, but truth and repentant, not truth and ignorant. If I'm truthful and ignorant, it's like I got pride. But if I'm truthful and repentant, it's like, but I overcame it.
Yep.
You see what I mean? And I think that that's a key that I wanted people to get before we close down, man. You had anything else, man, before we got off here, man?
No, I mean, 100% what you're saying. Like, be okay living your truth. Like, God made billions of people. There's billions of people on the planet right now. There's only one of you. So just go and live your truth.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to have less emotional stuff going on, less physical stuff going on. You're going to have more peace in your life. Be okay living your truth. There'll be people that even though they might live the lie, they'll respect you for living your truth.
Mm-hmm.
That's the reality. Because there's a lot of people say, man, I wish I could be more truthful. I wish I could be 100. I wish I could do these things, but they've compromised. And it's a daunting task for a lot of people to get out of that space of being compromised in certain areas.
That's how the enemy wants us. That's the desire. He really wants us to stay in that place.
Mm-hmm.
If we could stay in that, if he can get us to stay in that place, we'll always be filled with shame and guilt. We'll never even feel right around people. And that's what I love about God. He take that shameful, guilty place and he transform it in ways that we don't, it's invisible.
Dust it off.
Yeah. And just a little additive to what he just said, because living in your truth is not being ignorant. I don't want nobody to miss your words.
Right.
He ain't saying be ignorant. He ain't saying like there's all kinds of crazy things children can believe and become as their children, right? You're not saying that, oh, this is your truth. Come out of that door, open that door and come out of it. That's not what he's saying. I just want everybody to understand that's not what he's saying. It's living in that truth that I'm this and I want to be what God has made me, has called me to be, or I want to know him and that my identity is wrapped up in him. So I wanted to make sure we nobody can even say that
we don't want to be out there appeasing feelings.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you got to be mean.
Right.
Not saying you got to be mean, because I know sometimes people ask you a straight question and we'll dance around it to save feelings.
Yeah.
And they're saying, well, I'll put the man on blast. When your wife say, do I look fat?
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah, you gained about 20.
A little bit. You know what I'm saying?
A little bit.
It doesn't mean that I love you less.
Come on, man.
We got to get to a space and a place where not only can we tell the truth, but people are okay receiving it.
And that's the key.
The
reception part. Because that's what we were just talking about with even the religious leaders and stuff. Like being able to say, I don't know it all. And I'm willing to sit down so I can know something aside I didn't see.
Yep.
That's called truth. We've been talking about honesty and stuff, right? That's intellectual honesty.
And what did I tell you the other day? I said, one of my agents that's in the office, I said, I'm gonna give it to you uncut. She said, no, I need it cut.
I don't want that pure.
I need it cut. I said, no, I need to give it to you uncut. She said, no, I need it cut.
Yeah.
So it works both ways. But like I said, We got work to do.
Yeah.
It's easier than we think. We just got to start doing one truth, two truth, three truth. Because if you do
Yeah.
one lie, two lie, three lie, that's a long, like you say, slippery slope. And it's going to take a toll on different aspects. And the thing about it is we got to be very careful because the lie has become normalized too. So we can get so far down the road that we think
Yep.
that like it's not even that big of a deal.
I think that's the state of our country.
Yes.
Our nation is the state of it's like we so far down the road that to go back,
It's hard.
it's like, man, we done went 3/4 a mile in the wrong direction, and it's only I only got to go one whole mile,
Right.
and it's like I'm not turning around to go 3/4 of a mile back up that way. I figure it out as I go to this next quarter mile forward.
We don't want that
We're in a
word.
bad place.
So-
Place.
I appreciate y'all. Another episode of Mental Health with myself, Hiawatha, aka Bishop H, and my co-host, Brother Jims.
Yep.
Y'all go out there, live hard, live strong, do your thing, but let's be truthful out there. Let's be authentic.
Mm-hmm.
I promise you, you'll be in a better headspace.
Most definitely. Peace, grace, and love, y'all. Be strong, courageous, and we out.
We out.
Oh, don't forget to share the screen. The stream. I said screen. Street.
Screen.
Yeah, be sure to share the stream. You know what I'm saying? Be strong, courageous. I know what it is. Peace.